Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Red. It's me, Guy, this time, because Dave's unfortunately busy. He'll be back with Two Footed later in the day. It will be a smidge late if you listen to that as well, but that should, I think we're recording about 5, so it might be a couple hours later than usual. So apologies for that, but you're stuck with me for today. Sorry. I usually do these on press conference days, so I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but seeing as the world of football seems to be going mad with really weird transfer prices, I thought I'd talk about that for a bit before getting into the Liverpool news. And yeah, I'm sure by now everyone's seen Richarlison deals close, Rafinha deals close, Gabby Jesus moved for just recently for about 45 mil. Even our own Darwin Núñez, I think 64.7 or something like that, going up to £75 million. So the world of football transfers has always been a bit mental, especially post Pogba and Neymar and all that stuff. But this season just seems to be different. It doesn't seem to be them bargains anymore, and I think the days have gone where we're going to be seeing Mo Salah for 35 mil, Mane for 34 mil or whatever it is. It just seems a tad wild. So you look at the transfers that have been confirmed, and these are some of the probably less offensive ones. I mean, start at the top, Tchouaméni, who we were obviously linked with, says £72 million here on Transfermarkt, and I'm guessing there was add-ons and stuff with that. But 72 mil for a defensive midfielder who's probably going to be a backup, wild. Not that I've said I've seen Tchouaméni that much, or at all really, but 72 mil for a backup defensive midfielder? Crazy. Darwin Núñez, I say, 67 mil for a person who's had one good season in the Portuguese league by most accounts. It's a bit un-Liverpool-like. Obviously, he played really well against us, but we find our target and we get our target. It's probably still an overpay. I think there's some more offensive ones to come. Probably ones that aren't confirmed yet, but yeah, Haaland, it says 54 mil here. I think it was meant to be 64 mil, the release clause, but most people are reporting about 50 odd. So we'll go with 54. We know where the real back end of that deal is. It's all in the wages and the package to the agency and his father and stuff like that. That's why that deal's a bit odd. But the transfer fee itself, that will be seen as one of the bargains. But once you delve a wee bit deeper, I think that probably look like market value more than anything, because Haaland is a bit of a freak. Sven Botman, 30 odd mil, that's probably fine. Fabio Vieira, 30 odd mil, that's fine. West Ham centre back they signed, 30 odd mil again. But Brendan Aronson, 30 odd mil from, was it Salzburg, I think it was, and I'm sure I've heard his numbers aren't that great. It's just crazy numbers, price wise. And to round off the top 10, Sadio Mane, 28.8 mil according to this. I think the longer the summer goes on, it's going to look like a worse sale from the numbers wise. But I've said this from the start. I think with Mane and any of our players who's helped us get success, if they want to move on and they've found a project they really want to get to, as long as it's not like a stupidly low price, I think you've got to try and find them a deal that suits all parties within a certain degree, and I think that's kind of what we did with Bayern, because he was linked. There was links with PSG. I think Barcelona were involved in stuff, but I think it came out the other day that Mane had his sights set on Bayern Munich, and they weren't ever going to pay stupid money like those other clubs possibly could. So 30 odd mil for Mane, nearly getting our money back after years of service, and what service it was. Fair enough. I did say top 10 there. There's some deals there from last season that are just loans turning into permanent. That's why I missed out a few Kiers, Mendes and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a strange season, transfer window so far, I should say. But the ones that have broken, Jesus hasn't been confirmed yet, but 45 mil, I first thought that was quite expensive. But if you compare it to two of the other deals, I think it may actually be seen as quite a good deal after them two. But 45 mil for Jesus, I'm not sure if he fills Arsenal's needs perfectly, but I think he'll be a good weapon for them to have. But yeah, a tad expensive, but I think it's cheaper out of the deals I'm going to talk about in a sec. Rafinha, I think it says the bids that have been accepted are in excess of 50 mil. I really like Rafinha. I've wanted him at Liverpool. I'd probably be, if we were planning a bit more an attacking midfield type thing, I'd be willing to match these bids. Obviously, not my money and all that jazz, but I think he'd be a really good player to suit us. But if you're talking 55, 60, 65, whatever, I can see why we wouldn't be involved, because we were linked last season, if I remember correctly. So maybe it's just gone out of our price range, considering the other midfielders who've been linked with Tchouaméni, Bellingham, Barella, etc. It may have just gone out of our price range for the player that we may need to change our formation for, or our system for. But I think if it's Tottenham, if it's Chelsea, if it's Barcelona, that seems to be the last question mark, is where the hell he's actually going. But the price seems to be around, let's say, 55 mil. I don't think that one's as offensive as some of the deals I've mentioned there, but I think Leeds got him for about 17 mil a couple of years ago. He's obviously been really good, but the money there is just mad. Like, 55 mil used to get you world-leading players, and now it's getting you someone who's in a relegation scrap. And the next deal, £60 million for Richarlison to Spurs. He's not going to start for Spurs. It's crazy to me. It is actually crazy. 60 mil for a backup. Fair enough, he'll back up three positions, most likely. But £60 million for a lad, I don't think has, like, he's 25. He's not exactly... He's in his peak now. 25-year-old. He's played... These are just his league numbers. So he's played all these times. I think this is... Yeah, these are just Everton numbers. So 35 games, 13 goals, 1 assist. Not great. 36 games, 13 goals, 3 assists. Not great. 2021 season, 34 games, 7 goals, 3 assists. That's dreadful. 21-22, 30 games, 20 goals. I can't read today. To 30 games, 10 goals, 5 assists. I mean, I know he stepped up in at the end of the relegation scrap, but where is the justification for 60 million coming here? I just don't... Are these lads just forgetting they can buy players from outside the Premier League? And this just may help fix Everton. I know they're a mess, but getting 60 mil for a very replaceable player is just... It's just insane money for me. Like, 60 mil for 10 goals. He was the main striker most of the season. Dominic Calvert-Lewin barely played. It's just mental. I know Rafa doesn't play attacking football and Frank Lampard's a PE teacher, but 10 goals in 30 games. 1 in 3. At £60 million for 1 in 3. That's crazy. That's crazy. He had 9 yellow cards. He had the same amount of yellow cards as goals. Oh, and I'm not just saying this because every Liverpool fan rightly hates Richarlison because he's a knobhead, but Jesus Christ, £60 million. And I don't know what's happening with the transfer market. It just seems people have kind of caught on to the fact that you just can't let a Premier League team off the hook. I think that Aronson deal I mentioned is probably the biggest example of that. 30 odd mil for Leeds to buy someone. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I just don't understand anymore. I don't understand anymore. But 60 mil for Richarlison, if he does well, fair enough. Maybe they've seen something that other people haven't, but I just don't get it. I don't get it. I think he'll flop. He'll probably do well. No, I've said that, but he's not as good as. I don't think he's nowhere near good as Son and Kane. I don't think he can replicate what they do either. But Kulusevski, I think he's better suited on the right as well. Left-footed, brings a bit of balance. What was Kulusevski's numbers in one half of the season? Considering he's a bit younger as well, 22. If I type in stats, that'd probably help me as well, Guy. 18 matches, 5 goals and 8 assists. So, Kulusevski's better. Let's be honest. He's better suited to the position, better player, younger, cheaper. I think they've still got him on loan for another year technically before they have to spend 35 odd million if I remember correctly. So that is probably a bargain in this market. But 60 mil for a backup player for Spurs. It's not like Man City who spent 42 million on Calvin Phillips the other day, which is another mad deal in my opinion. It's not that mad. It's Man City, they have infinite money. And they're selling every player in the squad. So it's just a weird one. It's a weird one from Spurs because they have holes in their first team that need filling, and to spend that on a backup who can't really replicate any other three positions just seems like a really odd move to me. But anywho, that's filled up at least 10 minutes. 11 minutes 30, look at me. So I've filled up some of the show. Let's get into some Liverpool news. So I've gone on to news now, and I'm going to talk about a few things. Pep and Linders has named a couple youngsters who should be joining Liverpool on the pre-season tour. As always, there's some youngsters there. There'll probably be some regular names like that we recognise, like Conor Bradley and stuff like that. He's gone on loan. Owen Beck's about to go on loan, I think. But you expect Tyler Morton there, Peter Luger, and others. I think that Polish kid, nobody knows what's happening with him. But he's named, I'm going to butcher this lad's name, Stefan Bajcetic. I'll go with that. The Spanish, this is Anfield, says centre-back turned to number 6. I've heard of his name a few times. Apparently quite talented. Bobby Clark, who we signed last summer. So he's been named there. I think he's also named Luke Chambers, who's away with the England under-19s at their Euros. I can't remember his name, but I think Dave mentioned him yesterday. Jarrell Kwanzaa, I think his first name was. So if depending how England do, maybe they can come back for pre-season. The article also mentions that Sepp Vandenberg will probably be with us for pre-season at least. We're not sure. I think there was a loan deal mentioned to Premier League teams, but if we want to cash in or make some money, 2 very good loans with Preston. See how he does in the Premier League with another loan. But considering how I think most people judged him in the early years when he joined, where he was very lightweight and stuff like that, it seems to be making quite a bit of promise and versatile. Played wing back, right back, and centre back at Preston by most accounts. He could develop into a really good squad option if we want a versatile defender. But a Premier League loan, see how he does. I'm not sure what the team would be. It'd be good, but a few other names mentioned in this. I don't think these are the ones confirmed by Pep and Linders like the first 2 I mentioned. James Balagizi, Leighton Stewart, Melkamu, let's go with that, Fraudendorf, Oakley Cannonier and James Morris. I'm sure there'll be people who pop up as well, but yeah, we'll see a good few youngsters in the pre-season. That's always part of the fun, isn't it? That's how we found out Ben Woodward and stuff like that. So it should be fun. It's always fun pre-season. Let's move on to the next story. 34 million star called Liverpool a wonderful club and Salah a special. Now Klopp could sign him. Let's have a little scan who this... I think it's Marco Asensio. Yeah, Marco Asensio. He's a player I'm sure people remember when he first broke through at Real Madrid and he was scoring worldies literally every other game, and he just never seemed to develop beyond that point. I think he got a lot of injuries and stuff like that, but I wonder if he'd be able to play as the attacking midfielder in our system, or the right centre mid, I should say, in our system. I've never really seen him. He's always been a right winger when I've seen Real Madrid, and I've seen less and less of La Liga since it's been off Sky Sports, to be honest. So, yeah, it's a strange one, but I'm sure we were linked years ago in the Klopp early days, so maybe it's a player Klopp likes, who knows. But 34 mil, 26-year-old, I don't think he could replace Mo. Maybe this is what it's hinting at slightly, but plays the same position. Maybe he could back up Mo whilst playing the right centre mid spot. I doubt it'll happen. We kind of got the Neil Jones scoop the other day, didn't we? About the names he mentioned, Barella, I think it was that lad from Salzburg, as well as Bellingham. There might have been another one there, I can't remember. Who's this about? Something about De Ligt for some reason. Yeah, we're not buying De Ligt. I'm just going to stop that. We don't need De Ligt anyway, and apparently he stalled quite a bit at Juve, so why would we? Juventus want Roberto Firmino Liverpool swap deal involving £17 million midfielder. I'm sure this is Adrien Rabiot. It is indeed Adrien Rabiot. We'll move on. I've barely seen him play, and he's dreadful, apparently. Apparently he's really talented at PSG. Well, just look at the state of Juventus now. They went from being one of the best run clubs. Now they're handing out free transfer contracts to anyone. Rabiot's part of that problem. Yeah, just an odd team. But Rabiot seems like basically the polar opposite of what Klopp had wanted in a player, and especially in a midfielder. Let's move on then to Anfield Index. We had an article from the machine, Stephen Smith, as they called him, about Julian Ward and the window of uncertainty. It's obviously his first season going alone, first summer going alone. We don't know how it's going really, because we got the 2 or 3 deals, if you count Fabio Carvalho as well. We got the 3 deals done, but we don't know what the plan is beyond that. I mean, people saying that was our last signing and etc. But we missed out on Tchouaméni. We don't really know what the crack is, so I'm not sure how we can grade what Julian Ward's done so far. There'll be another article out by Stephen tomorrow, called New Kids on the Block. Not sure what that is, but I will read it whilst I'm editing that or putting it together. Podcast-wise, we had the What If come out yesterday, or a couple of days ago now, actually. We had Daily Red, obviously. Old School earlier in the week. We had season reviews. We have a Money Talks in the bank and an AI Scouted in the bank, which will probably be released at one probably today, one tomorrow. It'll probably be Money Talks first, and then I'll say AI Talks tomorrow or over the weekend. But yeah, I think we'll have them 2 pods out in the next couple of days. We're recording a Raw Retro Friday or tomorrow. I should say that should be out on the day. I think Trev mentioned the transfer pod will be recorded tomorrow, so maybe Friday will be quite a busy day for pods just to finish up the week, and maybe the weekend will be a bit quieter, but you can catch up on all Friday's pods. And I think that is it from what I had planned. Hopefully it's been alright without Dave. But that's it. Thank you everyone for listening. Goodbye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.